So, I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time. Uh, Basically comparing manga monthly sales and American comic book monthly sales. But that's because there's so many aspects to this that I've been like wanting to talk about, and being a fan of American comic books, like things like DC and Marvel, products like Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, a whole bunch of characters like that. But the main thing that always has attracted me is, these lessons that they taught in these comic books. And what I've been like recently noticing is that the comic book industry is like at an all-time low. You know, it's watching these series and these characters that I loved reading as I grew up, kind of like going downhill story wise, and the sales, at least from what I've learned from the past few months, have kind of reflected that. And the only thing I can really compare it to is the Japanese comic industry, which is manga. And I've also grown up reading manga as well, and I have a lot of, series that I really, really absolutely love. And, you know, seeing these two very similar products but made from different countries is very, I'd say, mind um no, not mind boggling, eye opening. Yeah, that'd be the right word. Eye opening, because a lot of these shows, or I'm sorry, a lot of these series and comic books just, I mean, I don't think anybody would like to see the downfall of anything that they love. And that's just a sad thing to see. And right here I have something called Boruto, which is a whole other, element and aspect to it. But it's something else that might be done in a separate video. But here, we're gonna talk about how diminished the American comic book industry has become, with its type of storytelling and the writers really not just listening to the fans at all. I mean, they've driven pretty much everyone away, and I'll show you what I mean in a couple seconds here, using the sales charts and everything. If I'm gonna, you know, if I'm gonna give you an accurate depiction on what I'm trying to talk about, I need to show you guys how sales are, because that's the only way we can like really determine, if people are interested in products, is whether they buy it or not. And yeah, and that's pretty much where we've hit in American comic book industry, and it's kind of sad because you know the American comic book industry, the name Marvel and DC is so huge that it's just a multi-billion dollar IP product name, uh, thing in and of itself. It's everywhere. It's worldwide. Um, the products that it's been able to make, and the names they made for themselves. You have Marvel with those multi-million dollar, even billion dollar franchises that the MCU has managed to gross over. And you also have DC, who hasn't really done as well in the live action aspect of it, but has some really good movies here and there, mainly Batman stuff. But they make some really amazing uh, films. And the Dark Knight trilogy actually came out to like what, $1 billion franchise, maybe slightly more. I'm not really sure about the numbers there, but they made a lot of money. Sadly, though, this hasn't really reflected on the comic book industry, where the source material and all that stuff, actually comes from. Because all these movies, all these, series, TV series, and all that, they have the source material. And that source material is the comic books that are, created beforehand. And I don't like to be political and everything, but I have to admit as a fan, a lot of the stuff that's being written today is very politicized and very I mean it's a really popular term, and not, I don't really like to use it this nonchalantly, but the word woke is the only thing that I can like really say, and that's pretty much what everybody's dubbed it now, is that a lot of comic book uh series have gone woke. There's these so many legacy characters that have gone either LGBT or coming out and all that stuff, um, as opposed to how they were when they were created. All these like characters that we all know and we all love, they're all conforming to this modern idea of what people are in modern day. And I don't know if that's the right way to approach um, writing a series, or utilizing these characters, because these characters have decades and decades of fans following along. And even like growing up, like myself, I grew up reading a lot of Batman and Spider-Man stories when they were really good, and they're true to their character. I mean, they're not going to be the original golden age um characters that they were when they were invented. They're not going to be like that, because a whole bunch of writers and a whole bunch of artists come and go all along the way. But despite that, I think now with modern day comics, you can really tell all these things are like being kind of pushed down everybody's throats, so to say, because I'd say like 10, 15 years ago it was starting to develop this kind of thing, but like 10 to 15 years ago it wasn't that prevalent, at least in my eyes. I mean, I was a kid back then too, but even I could read a book. I read comic books and understand what was going on in those books. But as an adult now, I mean, I'm 26 now, and I'm still reading comic books. Um, you know, I guess that kid part of me never really grew up, but I like enjoying uh, stories and universes, and all that kind of stuff in fantasy. Um, but yeah, I mean, comparing the stories that I read back then and the stories that are coming out now, it's like I'm not interested in reading them anymore, because I'm always being pushed down by something politicized or something going on that's like brutally reflecting the real world. And to be honest, as a reader, as a person who really loves like fantasy stuff and wants to be taken out of everyday modern life and society and politics and all that stuff, I don't want to read about that in a comic book that I'm trying to enjoy, trying to see this character's trials and tribulations so I can aspire myself to be like that character. Instead, I'm being, shoved down like, oh, you got to save the planet, you got to save the planet by uh changing climate change, or going into this um movement of anti-racism. And those things are very heavy topics that are very important in our day-to-day life, and they're topics that are better talked about in person and confronted in person, not in like stories where want to read stuff to enjoy. It's not like a spot to really push that kind of narrative down, because then you're taking people out of the story, and then you're just reminding them all over again, the kind of world that we live in and stuff, and all that. It's just something that not a lot of people really care about when they read these heroes, or read about these heroes and these characters. I mean, yeah, you can have a story with, people fighting communism and whatever, but you got to write it very, carefully. You got to write it in a way where that's not just what's happening in the story. The communism part or whatever is not just about the story. It's about the characters and the side characters building the world that you're, trying of the story of you're trying to tell. And that's the basic aspects of, writing a story, is creating a world where you have these characters, side characters, and environment that, people learn about, read about, and then discover. And yeah, you can put in themes and you can put all these things, but that's, I think the base of a story is, building a world, and then what comes out of it is, learning about, themes and stuff, and learning about the trials and tribulations of these characters, and taking out the moral aspect of the story. What did they go through? What did I learn from this story? What did I learn from this character that made me want to be like them? And in a sense, these new stories do have uh, uh, the idea of, trying to like show us, these things can be bad, these things can be good, these things are, we need to solve these problems. But this is better taken out in, like a actual real life, what's the word? A real life talking point, or a real life meeting or something, when you talk about stuff, a convention or whatever, where you have panels and stuff where you talk about these problems and find ways to, solve them. Um, but yeah, I kind of going off tangent and all that. But like, what I wanted to go back to is like, these there's aspects of this, where a certain market, is doing better than the other, and that's Japanese comic books, manga. And I think the thing that it's doing is that it's not shoving all these politics and all these kind of things down people's throats. It's building the story that it wants to tell, and they're building the characters and the universes that they want people to know about from scratch. Meanwhile, you got American comics that are relying on a lot of, legacy characters and characters that already have a huge following, or at least a decent following already, and they're building on that. And to a degree, all that stuff, all the hype that they built throughout the years is kind of becoming undone, because these writers have really, took away the initial aspects of the story in how it was originally intended to be read. And yeah, I mean, I'm just here to show you guys, the sales and everything. And honestly, I was surprised by how bad everything has become in the American comic book industry, especially in terms of sales. In regards to, popular publishing companies like Marvel, DC, IDW, all these other companies, Image. And then I'm just going to compare all those different companies to just, one one company that, I guess you can really only compare it to, at least in my perspective, is Shonen Jump, which, and Shonen Jump's not the only Japanese magazine that, publishes stories about heroes and stuff, but it's the only one that I think I can personally, use and make you all understand um, just how bad the American comic book industry is. And that's not like, I don't want to like really badmouth it, because I love comic books. I love American comic books. I love manga. I love both. But, seeing something you love just go down into this sad shell of itself is just so mind-boggling, and just honestly just sad. You know, and at the same time, it's kind of, great, because then another side that you enjoy, another place you can get you that content that you want to read, is flourishing. But, I just want to show that, in these comparisons I'm going to be showing you guys, is that people can make stories without being super political and super, you know, hunky dory and shoved down on the nose, stuff. Like for example, you can a lot of these new comic books, American comic books, are that have like women characters. Just write them as these strong female leads that have nothing but just that to them, nothing that I'm strong and I have the answer to everything, and that's as a character that's really bland, There's more to a character than just that. And something I have like always thought of is, these characters, like Wonder Woman being really, feminist and, declining everything of men. And in the old comics, it wasn't just about that, it was trying to, find her place in the new world, find her place in protecting not just, the mascara and everything, but, finding a way to adapt to the ways of man and women and come together and come into terms to get both to really just be in sync with each other. And that's one thing that I liked about the old comics is that it never, I mean, it has, you know, made Wonder Woman, a badass of a character. But that was never just about her. That badassness was never just that one thing about her. She had several layers to her. And a lot of characters now are just written like this. They're just written as badass females with, the problem to solve anything. And nobody really cares about that kind of thing. And it's not just that. It's all these characters that have them being written as like these one-dimensional douchebags and everything, and it's just sad. I don't want to read that. I love these characters. I want to see these characters, be humble, be relate relatable. Uh, and I know I've like talked about a lot about this and stuff. You have like characters like Miss Marvel and everything. Not Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, where her character is just, I'm strong, that's it. And when I compare to other characters, people like you have people like, for example, Sakura from Naruto or Hinata from Naruto. They're not just damsels in distress. Yeah, sure, they get saved, but they're strong in their own right. They have their own ability to fight against people and to fight against, others without always relying on, the male lead. And another great example of this is Soul Eater with Maka Albarn. She's the main character, but she's not, the strongest, and that's not all there is to her. She's a complex character that has, emotions and feelings and everything. And Soul is a very complex character as well that complements her. Um, and one thing I absolutely love about her character is that she doesn't always acknowledge that she's right. She acknowledges that she can be wrong. And I just love one of those moments in the manga and even in the anime where she like slapped or, punched Black Star for being angry that she was, weak and that she couldn't do anything and she was jealous. And at the end of it all, she was like, "Yo, Black Star, hit me, punch me as hard as you can. Don't hold back because I didn't." And then Black Star, like the cool kid he is, just punches her. And that's what I want to read. I want to read characters that are great, not because they're a male or female, but because they're great characters. And yeah, that's how you write great female characters. You write a great character that happens to be female. And that applies to, any kind of like character. It can be gay, straight, lesbian, whatever. As long as you make a great character, it doesn't matter what they are on the side because that's just the side. What makes them a great character is their aspirations and their personality, not what they identify or whatever, you know? And yeah, now I'm gonna go back into, showing you the sales because this is really sad. So I'm gonna show you guys American comic book sales for April 2022 and Weekly Shonen Jump manga sales for April 2022, and these are monthly sales. The sad thing though is that for comic books, April 2022 is the last time I can actually get an accurate, unit sales read or estimate because I can't. The comic book industry itself has fallen so bad that you can't find any unit sales because the companies don't want you to know how badly their products are selling. And every week or every month or so, every on and off month, you hear these like stories on Twitter and all these things about these writers who are just being dropped of their projects that they had greenlit before, and now they're just moving on to something else, or their project is just open for whatever because it can't be published, mainly because the company doesn't have any money. But yeah, here is why. I mean, or here is the the showings that people are trying or these are the sales numbers that people have or this Comic-Con has released, showing that people aren't really that interested in these new comic books because it's just either not good or they're not or these companies aren't making an effort to attract the readers, and by not attracting them is basically not listening to them. They're making all these like things that people don't really want to read, or people don't really or people should be attracted to but aren't because the way these companies are running things. Now here I'm going to show you April 2022 sales, and now the most um the most sold uh comic book of April 2022 was TMNT The Last Ronin issue number 5. And I mean, it only sold 100,000 units for the month. That's April of 2022. Its projected sales are 111,000, but I'm gonna just take estimated units because estimated units are pretty much what you see that they sell. Projected is like not even like it's like projected isn't even like it's like, oh, here's what we think it might sell. While estimated unit sales are like, here's the data we collected from the comic book shops that are selling um, these comic books. Now they're not going to be 100% accurate, but here's a round estimated number. So yeah, TMNT The Last Ronin issue number 5 in April 2022 only sold 100,462 units. And that's not to say that the story's bad because TMNT The Last Ronin is one of the best stories I've recently read for comic books. And, it's just so sad seeing that in 1 month it sold that much. And, people are going to be, saying, oh, but why are you just saying, selling it sold that much for 1 month? That's actually pretty decent. And if you just see the Shonen Jump numbers, you are going to be like, what? Because it's not even a comparison. It's just so sad. Um, and, also you guys are going to be like, oh, are you comparing individual issues to manga monthly or manga volumes? And I'm like, and the reason why I'm doing that is because it's the only comparison anyone can really make, because these issues are periodicals and manga doesn't really have periodicals unless you're using the Weekly Shonen Jump magazine by itself with like 10 different series being published every month, which I don't think is a fair thing because a lot of these magazines, the Shonen Jump magazines, are only bought because one person wants to read one specific story and not like all the other tens. So I wouldn't really use that as a method of comparison, because it's just what I want to compare is the story's run from a consecutive point. You know, TMNT The Last Ronin, issue 1 to issue whatever that's being published. I want to show you the stories, only the stories that are being published, and the stories that people are buying. So, yeah, TMNT The Last Ronin, issue number 5, 100,000. And then number 2 is Amazing Spider Man, issue number 1, 92,448. Hulk, issue number 6, 60,000. Gunslinger Spawn, 50,000, blah, 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 blah. All these stories that were sold on April. And I'm not going to call all these stories bad or anything because I haven't read all of them. I've only read TMNT, The Last Ronin, Amazing Spider-Man, uh, Saga. I've read King Spawn. I've read. Let's see here. What else? Moon Knight. I've read Venom. I've read. Godzilla versus Buddy. I forgot about that. Yeah, I read that one too. That was nice. Uh, but yeah, all these stories. Walking. Oh, actually, no, I haven't read Walking Dead. Immortal Sonia, Red Sonia. I think I've read that. I'm not really sure, but anyway, all these stories here. I haven't read every single one of them, but the ones that I have, like have the decent sales number. But now I'm gonna jump into the Shonen Jump monthly sales for April 2022, and you're gonna see just how it just blows everything away. And these are, by the way, these are domestic sales. So these are all United States domestic sales. So these are only sales within the United States. They're, are these, sales numbers for that month. And now the weekly Shonen Jump numbers are, the domestic Japanese sales that were being sold in that month in Japan only, not worldwide, just Japan. And these are numbers that are estimated from Oricon, which is the official, weekly ranking that, estimates or that charts up all these numbers and stuff from, manga sales and everything. And they don't just cover Weekly Shonen Jump. They cover a lot of different magazines like Kodansha and all these other things. You got Jump Square and all these other uh, Jump magazines, and Shoujo Beat and everything on all that. Uh, but yeah, here is Weekly Shonen Jump, April 2022. All the series that are from Weekly Shonen Jump for April 22, and these are manga volumes. And I'm not going to show you these individual charts because that's not what I want to really show you. Um, so right here, uh, Jujutsu Kaisen Volume Number 19, 1.6 million. And actually, you know what? I'm going to show you the charts because these are better. I know I said I wasn't going to show them, but these are just better to show you. Like, look at here. Look at One Piece. These are copies sold, and look how. Look at the first week. Look, first week is a gold, and these are taken by Oricon. And look how many of these volumes sell over 1 million copies. And this is a week. 1 week only. These are millions of copies being sold in 1 week. And then to go back to American comic books, this is 1 month. TMNT Last Ronin issue number 5 only sold 100, almost 100.5 thousand, 100,500 sales within a month. Do you want to know how much One Piece sold in 1 month? Let's see, volume 102. By week 4, which is basically a month, it sold pretty much slightly over 1.5 million copies. That is insane. That's a huge number. I mean, if you compare American comic books, it's not even a quarter. Not even. 1.5 million sales versus 100,000 sales. That's insane. Now let's look at number. Actually, I think Jujutsu Kaisen was number 1, but let's look at Jujutsu Kaisen, volume number 19. For its first week, sold over 1 million, almost at 1.2 million, and by its fourth week, it sold over 1.5 million. I think it's like 1.6 probably. Yeah, it's probably 1.6 million. But that's insane. 1.6 million Jujutsu Kaisen. And these are stories that aren't even like with notable names and notable IP like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, the Avengers and all that. These are brand new series that have characters starting up from scratch. These worlds are made from scratch. And we're gonna go back. Like let's take this elusive samurai story. I've never heard of this. I've literally, I mean, I have heard of the name, but I've never like read it myself. Look, its first week for its most recent volume, which is number 7, sold 40,000, or a little over 40,000. I think it's like probably 50,000 sales in 1 week. That's 1 week. And yeah, this is a brand new series. This only has 5 volumes. That's insane. For a story that has no legacy characters or no famous even author, this thing is selling over 60,000 units in a month. And I've never even heard of this or even the author. Let's look at another one. Witch Watch. See, another one that sold over 40,000 in 4 weeks. It only has 5 volumes too. What's this? See, PPPPP or whatever the crap it's called. 2 volumes. In its first week, it sold over 12,000, almost like even yeah, even like 14,000 copies in its first week. That's insane. These are two things that I've never heard and people, don't really know, and it's already selling that much. And what's even more apparent is that when the anime comes out, that just boosts up sales like into an insane degree. I mean, look here, volume 1 through 13, and then I'm pretty sure the anime came out around that time and boosted up sales. But that's usually how it goes. You have the manga coming out, and then if it's popular, if it's getting some kind of traction, it's gonna get an anime. And sometimes there's manga that don't sell anything that get an anime and then boost up the sales. And then there's also vice versa. But still, let's see here, Witch Watch. See, over 25,000, almost 30,000 in its first week. By its fourth week, it's already selling over 40. 5 volumes. PPP to you've seen this. And Dodon Dododon. Yeah, see, it only sold for 1 week and it's already selling in the thousand in the thousands range. And I don't even think this. I think this has only been, yeah, this might have only been available for 7 days maybe. Yeah, probably. But see, this is a brand new series. Brand new. Absolutely brand new. Nobody knows who this character is. Nobody knows who the author is. I've never heard of this series. I've never heard of this author. I've never seen this character before. And, he's already selling 5,000, units in its first volume. I've never heard of it. Assassination Classroom. I read this one. But still, look at these numbers, man. First week, already selling over 500,000 copies in the first week. Let's look back at American comic books. Issue number 5. In one entire month, 100,000. That's insane. Now, I know not all manga, sells those numbers, like those insane numbers. Look, you got here Protect Me Shigumaru volume number 1 sold about 2,000 volumes, maybe less than that. And that's like these are series that nobody knows about or that, people are just, releasing on the fly. And that's insane. I mean, look here. Let's compare the volume sales for the first 4 weeks. And I'm going to just number 1, Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 19, 1.6 million. Number 1, TNT issue 5, 100,000 sales. Okay, now let's look at number 2, 1.5 million. And in between that is all right, hold on. Let's look at One Piece Volume 102. 1.5 million. How much number 2 sold? The Amazing Spider-Man sold around 92,000 one month. All right, now let's look at, I guess, 2.5 Hunter x Hunter Volume number 36. And these are one of the 3 bigger titles that have recently come. And Jujutsu Kaisen is like really really recent that came out. One Piece has been available since like the 90s. I think it's 1995 or 96. Hunter x Hunter, I think around 98 or 97, one of those. Actually, yeah, 98, 97, 98, 99, one of those years. I don't really remember, but yeah, 838,000 units. And this is a series that's been going on and had so many breaks. I mean, this series is known for taking hiatuses, so people dubbed it hiatus x hiatus or hiatus, whatever. And now we got here My Hero Academia, Volume 33, 663 volumes in a month. Number 4, Black Clover, 147,000. Marshall, number 10, 121,000 for 1 month. Blue Box, number 4, never heard of this, 110,000 units in 1 month. Sakamoto Days, 74,000. And now let's look these. Uh, Elusive Samurai number 5, 71,000. Ayakashi Triangle, Volume 8, 55,000. Yozakura Family number 12, Volume 12, 44,000. Witch Watch, Volume 5, 42,000. These are just, this is 1 through 10. Now let's look at 1 through 10 through American comic books. We already saw The Last Ronin, Amazing Spider-Man, Hulk, Volume number 6, 60,000. This is number 3. Gunslinger Spawn, Issue 7, 50,000. Bloodstained Teeth, Issue 1, 44,000. And so on and so on and so on. And let's see, number 10, Alice Ever After, Issue number 1, 41,000. That's number 10. Let's go back to number 10 for here. Witch Watch, Volume number 5, 42,000. Number 10 here, 32, what's it called? Oh no, sorry. Alice Ever After, issue number 1, 41,000. So, I mean, this is a series I have no idea about. And, you know, Alice, where is it? Alice Ever After has a character. You know, I think this is basically, you know, Alice in Wonderland and stuff. You have Alice in Wonderland, a character that's, you know, however old, and, you know, maybe this is a new spin on it, but, you know, this is only selling 40,000 units in 1 month. And that's a volume number 1. I mean, that's actually pretty good. But then you have whatever Witch Watch is, volume number 5, and this isn't number 1. This is volume number 5, selling 42,000. It's getting traction. And, you know, I mean, you have Saga is a really popular series, and it only in issue number 58 only sold 44,000. What is this, number 6? And number 6 is Blue Box Volume 4, 110,000 units in a month. I mean, that's just so sad. Let's look at all these other volumes that are, you know, if we compare, let's go to like a super random issue number. Magic Hidden Planeswalker, Volume 1, sold 11,000 units in 1 month. Let's look at, which one is this one? Magic Hidden Planeswalker. And this is rank 79. I mean, uh, Shonen Jump doesn't have rankings that far. I mean, they do, but I don't know. This is a better, accurate, you know, depiction. This is number. Protect Me, Shugomaru. Never heard of it. This is Dodon Dododon. I've never heard of this series. I don't know what it's about. I don't know nothing. And it sold 5,000 copies in its first week. About 5,000 copies. First week. You got here Magic Hidden Planeswalker. Oh, that's pretty good. But I've never heard. Oh, this is Magic the Gathering. See, Magic the Gathering is a very popular card game. You know, it has a following in it. And now they're making the story out. This thing should be selling in the hundreds of thousands to millions because a lot of people, you know, play Magic the Gathering. Only 11,000 in a month. 5,000 in 1 week. By its second week, I'm pretty sure this thing will pass 10,000 without a doubt. By its, you know, month, by the time the month sales come up, this thing has probably already. I mean, this is in 2022, so it's been a while, but I'm I'm willing to bet that after a month, after 4 weeks, this thing's probably going to sell in the 15, maybe 20, maybe even 30 or 40,000 range. And I know that's a big range, but if we look into like other things, like look at this. These are no. Oh, here we are. Witch Watch. I have no idea what the heck this series is about. By its fourth week, it's already selling over 40,000 sales. Look here, volume number one. After its month being in sale, over 30,000 units. And I've never heard of this. And this is volume number one. Volume number two, and it was picking up steam and stayed a little consistent, but sorry, yawning right there. But yeah, you see, look, volume number two, over 40,000. And this has no backing. This has nothing about it that's, you know, promoting it anyway. It's not backed up by Magic the Gathering or whatever kind of thing like that. It's got nothing. It's being built up from scratch. And then you got Magic Hidden Planeswalker issue number one. And it's like it has a huge company behind it that can promote it very well, and it's just I don't know. Look, Alien right here. You know how famous Alien is? It's issue 11 and it's ranked 77 and only sold 11,000 unit 11.5 thousand in a month. That's Alien. Alien's like one of the most popular things that have come out in sci-fi history. Yeah. I mean, I can keep going on and on and on about all this and Deadpool, 9,000 copies in a month. That's like, bro, what? This is Deadpool. Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop. Is this based off the TV series? Oh my god, it is. Oh wow. I had no idea. I was gonna say, is this the original manga? Nah. Cowboy Bebop, issue number 3. 9,617 units in a month. Huh. How much? I'm gonna see how much. I'm gonna see. Hold on. Let's go. Sorry, I'm gonna just go on here. I want to see how much it is. Cowboy Bebop volume. Cowboy Bebop volume 1 sales. Oh, that's right. It came out in 2005. I mean, the anime came out in the 90s, early 2000s, but this is hmm. I don't know if I'll be able to find that because it's been out of print for a long time. Yeah, it's these ones, these manga volumes. I don't think you'll be able to find these anywhere. Just because they're the company that made them kind of like went bankrupt. So wow, 305. Wow. Anyway, yeah, I won't be able to find the sales units for these because it's just been so freaking long, and I highly doubt people were really looking into it. But yeah, I mean, and I want to take a into account. Oh, what did I do? I want to take into account here. So I've been talking about stories that, are in decline and everything and all that. And I want to show you a series that has a huge following and has what a lot of, fans of the Naruto franchise um consider a failure, but in terms of comparing in American comics, it's actually doing pretty well. Is Boruto, and you see here. I mean, look at that. Yeah, it has a decline, obviously, but you know, by its fourth week, it's still selling like over 50,000 units, even 100. Like, yeah, it's declining with every month and everything. Every by week 5 or 6, so it's about 100. But look, its first volume, almost 400,000 units by week 7. Let's just do week 4. That's more accurate. Is there a week 4? Yeah, week 4. Over 350,000 units. That's a lot. Okay, that's all I gotta say. Bye.